100,000 years ago, Earth was home to at least 6 different species of humans. They were insignificant animals, no more important than gorillas, fireflies, or jellyfish. There was nothing to suggest that one of these species, Homo sapiens, would eventually build pyramids, split the atom, and fly to the moon. Today, we are the only human species left. What happened to the others? And how did we become the masters of the world? In his groundbreaking book, Sapiens, Yuval Noah Harari argues that our dominance was not caused by our individual intelligence or our ability to make tools. A lone human is no match for a lion or a Neanderthal. Our secret weapon was a massive biological upgrade that happened roughly 70,000 years ago. The cognitive revolution. This revolution was not about better spears or bigger brains. It was about language, but it was a very specific type of language. Most animals can communicate basic facts. A monkey can shout, "Danger!" a lion to warn its troop. However, Homo sapiens developed the unique ability to speak about things that do not exist at all. We gained the power of fiction. We can imagine things. We can talk about gods, nations, human rights, and money. None of these things exist in the physical world. You cannot find a human right under a microscope. You cannot show a chimpanzee a $20 bill and convince him that it is worth more than a banana. But because humans can all believe in the same imaginary stories, we can cooperate in the millions. This is the key to our success. Two strangers who have never met can work together to build a cathedral or a corporation because they both believe in the same God or the same legal system. This collective imagination allowed sapiens to organize in groups much larger than the 50 or 100 individuals seen in other species. While Neanderthals were restricted to small, tight-knit families, sapiens were building tribes, cities, and eventually empires. The cognitive revolution also changed how we evolved. Most animals change through their DNA, which takes millions of years. If a species of bird needs a stronger beak, it must wait for countless generations of natural selection. But because sapiens could change their stories, they could change their behavior overnight. We did not need to wait for a genetic mutation to learn how to hunt in a new way. We simply changed the tribal myth and taught the next generation a new strategy. However, this power came with a dark side. As sapiens spread out from Africa, they became an ecological serial killer. Everywhere our ancestors arrived, the local megafauna vanished. Giant sloths, mammoths, and even our human cousins, the Neanderthals, disappeared shortly after sapiens showed up. We were not just another animal in the ecosystem. We were a force of nature that rewrote the rules of the planet. For most of our history, we lived as foragers, wandering the land in search of food. We were physically fit, had a diverse diet, and lived in harmony with the seasons. But 10,000 years ago, everything changed. We stopped wandering and started planting. We transitioned from the cognitive revolution to the agricultural revolution, a change that Harari calls history's biggest fraud. For about 2.5 million years, humans fed themselves by gathering plants and hunting animals that lived and bred without their intervention. Then, about 10,000 years ago, sapiens began to devote almost all their time and effort to manipulating the lives of a few animal and plant species. This was the agricultural revolution. Many people assume that this transition was a great leap forward for humanity, that we finally escaped the difficult life of the hunter-gatherer and moved into a life of abundance and security. But Yuval Noah Harari argues the opposite. He claims that the agricultural revolution was actually history's biggest fraud. Wheat did not make our lives easier. It domesticated us. Before the revolution, humans lived varied lives. They moved around, ate dozens of different types of food, and rarely suffered from famine or infectious diseases because they were not living in crowded permanent settlements. Once we started farming, we became tied to our fields. Our bodies, which evolved for climbing and running, were now forced to spend all day clearing rocks and carrying water buckets. This led to a surge in arthritis, slipped discs, and hernia. Furthermore, we became dependent on a very small number of crops. If the rains did not come, or if a fungus attacked the wheat, farmers died by the millions. The average peasant worked much harder than the average forager and had a much worse diet. So why did we do it? The answer is the luxury trap. Agriculture allowed us to produce more food per unit of territory, which meant the population exploded. Once a tribe grew from 50 people to 500, there was no going back. They could not return to hunting and gathering because there were now too many mouths to feed. We were trapped by our own success. As populations grew, sapiens needed a way to keep order among thousands of strangers living together. This led to the creation of imagined orders. These are social structures that exist only in our collective minds. The most famous example from the ancient world is the Code of Hammurabi, and from the modern world, the American Declaration of Independence. These documents created a shared reality that allowed millions of people to cooperate. During this era, three great unifiers emerged to bring the entire world together. The first was money. Money is the most universal and efficient system of mutual trust ever devised. It does not matter if you do not believe in my God or my king. As long as we both believe in the value of a gold coin or a digital bank balance, we can trade and cooperate. The second unifier was empires. While empires are often built on conquest and blood, they also blended different cultures together, creating a shared language, law, and identity that spanned continents. The third unifier was religion. Religion gave a superhuman legitimacy to our fragile, imagined orders. It told people that the laws they followed were not just made by men, but were commanded by the creators of the universe. By the year 1500, the world was becoming a single global village. But a new revolution was about to begin in Europe, one that would give sapiens more power than they ever imagined. It was not a revolution of the field or the temple, but a revolution of the laboratory. For the past 500 years, humankind has experienced a phenomenal and unprecedented growth in power. In the year 1500, there were about 500 million Homo sapiens in the entire world. Today, there are 8 billion. The total value of goods and services produced by humankind in a year was about $250 billion back then. Today, it stands at around 100 trillion. This explosion was driven by the scientific revolution. But this revolution was not just a list of inventions like the steam engine or the light bulb. It was a revolution of ignorance. For the first time in history, humans admitted that they did not know the answers to the most important questions about the world. Earlier traditions, like religion, usually claimed that everything important to know was already revealed in ancient texts. Science, however, began with the words, "We do not know." This willingness to admit ignorance made us obsessed with observation and mathematics. But science did not move forward on its own. It was fueled by the alliance between science, empire, and capitalism. European explorers traveled the world not just to conquer land, but to collect data. And they were funded by governments and private investors who believed that new knowledge would lead to new wealth. This brings us to the most powerful imagined story of the modern era, credit. Credit is a representation of wealth that does not exist yet. It is a bet on the future. Because we believe that the future will be better and more prosperous than the present. We can print money today to build factories and laboratories. This cycle of growth has lifted billions out of poverty, but it has also put a massive strain on the ecological balance of our planet. Today, we are the undisputed masters of the world, but are we any happier? Yuval Noah Harari points out that while we have much more power than our hunter-gatherer ancestors, there is little evidence that we are significantly more satisfied with our lives. We have conquered famine, plague, and war to a large extent, but we have replaced them with stress, anxiety, and a constant thirst for more. We are now entering a new phase of history that might be the end of sapiens altogether. For 4 billion years, life on Earth was governed by the laws of natural selection and organic chemistry. But now we are beginning to replace natural selection with intelligent design. Through genetic engineering, brain-computer interfaces, and artificial intelligence, we are gaining the power to redesign not just the world around us, but our own bodies and minds. We are moving from being Homo sapiens to becoming what Harari calls Homo Deus, man-gods. We are gaining the abilities that were once attributed to the gods of our myths, the power to create life and to defeat death. But the danger is that we are more powerful than ever, yet we have very little idea of what to do with that power. We are self-made gods who are accountable to no one, and we are still driven by the same basic instincts and desires that our ancestors had on the African savanna. Is there anything more dangerous than dissatisfied and irresponsible gods who do not know what they want? As we look to the future, the question is no longer, what do we want to build? But, what do we want to become? Understanding our history is the only way to navigate this uncertain future. We started as an insignificant ape with a talent for storytelling. We used those stories to build civilizations, religions, and nations. Now, the stories we tell ourselves will determine if we survive our own success or if we become just another extinct branch on the tree of life. Thank you for joining us on this massive journey through the history of our species. If you want to continue exploring the ideas that shape our world, make sure to subscribe and follow the shortcut to wisdom.